Um, Talking about the Switch and Switch 2, some of your recent vids were about the leaks of potential controller con 2s, screen protector, case for the Switch 2. So my thoughts on this, because I do love Nintendo. I love how they think out of the box on previous consoles. Is the Switch 2 too boring and too late? Like they waited too long, and it's really what I mean by that is if the leaks are accurate with the controller cons, it's really just a slightly upgraded controller con, better screen, maybe 4K docked. I don't know if it'll do that undocked, and upscaled games. It potentially $70 price tag because they tried that with the Legend of Zelda. Is that the future of the Nintendo console? Do you think that could soften people's excitement for the next Switch if it's just what we thought it was with no extra oomph, like it's just an upgraded Switch?
I don't know, because the success of the Switch was that it was very different than what we had seen before. Before the handheld mini PCs that were a dime a dozen, this, that, or the other. It came out in a perfect time. Do I think that the successor is going to outsell the current one? No, I don't. Much like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, when you look at the sales of those, Tears of the Kingdom is never going to catch up to Breath of the Wild. That doesn't mean that Tears of the Kingdom is worse than that or that was a bad game. It's still sold extremely well. It's still selling extremely well. The difference is with Breath of the Wild, you had that wow factor. This is completely different. I've never seen a Zelda game like this before. And people bought that game. And when people bought that game, most of them really enjoyed it. But there were some people that were like, I kind of prefer the traditional style. And then once you eliminate that wow factor and you see that Tears of the Kingdom is really an extension of Breath of the Wild, kind of bigger, badder, more things to do, those people that still didn't like the style of the game, they're not going to come back to it because it's very similar. It's exactly, the same sort of structure that Breath of the Wild had, just like I said, bigger. So I think a vast majority of people do want the Switch 2 to play it safe because
They do. Okay.
I think so because I mean that's what I want. If you ask me personally,
okay.
I just want the same system better. I want better visual fidelity. I want a better eShop. I want, better controller options, better games, more third-party games and stuff like that. This is a good generation to potentially, I think, play it safe because you don't want another situation where you kind of miss the mark. I think the Switch 2 will sell very well. I think there will be initial hype with it. And really, software sells hardware. No matter what Xbox likes to say, great software will sell hardware. And I think they're going to come out guns blazing with this system for like the first year. I think it's going to be very similar to how the first year of the Switch was, where it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like this game, boom, here you go. Like just nonstop things. But the difference is going to be now there's going to be third parties alongside of it.
Cool. Yeah, the third party support should really increase in the next system. I think Ray was going to add something, but I did want to add one more thing there. What it would be your biggest concern with the Switch 2? Mine, for example, was just based off your recent vid with the Donkey Kong Country. It's a 3DS basic port, $60. Now they're fine. They're probably going to be fine with doing 70 price tag for remasters and reissues, and not a lot of new games. They're going to say, "Oh, now it's 4K Mario in 4K." That's going to be the song. That's my biggest fear for the Switch 2.
And I mean, there is the chance of that, but I think the fact that it has backwards compatibility, that kind of softens the blow a little bit, I feel. I think that, with backwards compatibility, I think there's a better chance that you won't see things like that. Especially considering, like, I think the reason why we're seeing so many remakes, remasters right now is because it is the end. Traditionally, Nintendo platforms don't last this long. There's never been one. This is the longest lasting Nintendo platform by far. And I think this is just kind of, keeping it afloat. Here's some smaller games. Here's some remakes and remasters. I'm not buying Donkey Kong. I think that's way overpriced. But the problem is people still buy it, man. Like, that game will probably outsell 90% of the games that come out in 2025 that have 15 times the budget that game has.
We didn't know how good we had it with the Virtual Console. It seems like they're really reluctant to put anything past Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo on there on their shop.
Yeah,
we should have GameCube on there by now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Too much of a market, though. They're realizing that people will buy these games.
Yeah, that actually goes into one of the questions